Now in the Unit 5, Sensor Technology and Process Control Instrumentation, we are going to see some of the sensors which are used for the various industrial applications and the process control instrumentation. This is nothing but your various industries such as paper industries, then biomedical industries, then other industries, which type of instrumentation they are using for their daily use, that we are going to see. So in the first part of sensor technology, some part is already covered. So nano instrumentation, this is one instrumentation branch wherein you have very small size of systems, and smaller the system, faster is the performance. This is the new buzzword in the industries. So as you see, microcontrollers, then small embedded controllers, they are having very small systems, but they are very fast, and as a result this nano instrumentation has drawn lot of attention of the people because it is very small but it is very fast. And the nanotechnology is one such technical domain wherein the particles which are of very small size, of the order of nanometers, few nanometers or even less than a nanometer, these particles, they exhibit certain characteristics, and when they are mixed with some other materials, and suppose if they are coated on some of the other materials, they exhibit special characteristics, and these characteristics are of much importance and they are of much use for the industries. So that is why this nanotechnology is the new buzzword coming up in the technical domain, wherein the nano size of materials of various say chemical composition, they have a particular characteristic and that can be made use of. So for example, suppose if you see the carbon nanotubes, so these carbon nanotubes, they are very small carbon molecules or particles which may be deposited on a surface, and this surface, if it is coated with these carbon nanotubes, we can see that the surface area will increase because the nanomaterials, when they are spread over the surface of the plate, then it will increase the surface area, and wherever you need increase in surface area, which gives rise to certain improvement in the characteristics. Say for example, if you have a capacitor, if you increase the capacitor surface area of the plate, you can say that there is increase in the capacitance value. So such a technique wherein you can increase the surface area of a plate without actually increasing the actual size of the plate, in such cases the deposition of nanomaterials can be done on the plates, and that can give rise to increase in the capacitance. So with the same size of the capacitor, you can increase the capacitance value. So such sensors which are very small in size, they can be treated as microsensors. So microsensors means what is required is, because the size of the material or size of the nanoparticle is very small, of the order of 1 nanometer. That is why if you want to measure the size of the material or nanomaterial, you should be able to measure with precision the smallest size in terms of 1 nanometer and lower. So in such cases you require sensors which act at the micro level. So these sensors which act at micro levels, these are known as microsensors. So now these microsensors may be required for the instrumentation related with nanotechnology. Then successful integration of mechanical components and electronic devices is known as mechatronics. So this mechatronics is a separate branch wherein small devices and mechanical components, electronic devices, they can be integrated and we can have a mechatronics application. So actually in practice the miniaturization of all the systems is taking place in a fast rate, and this miniaturization gives rise to mechatronic application. Similarly, nanotechnology involves components having sizes from 1 micrometer to 1 nanometer fabricated by new technology called micro electromechanical systems. So fabrication of this nanotechnology components is done by micro electromechanical systems. So these MEMs, these are again new facets of technology wherein you can fabricate various nanotechnology materials or components and use them for the benefit of the humankind. Nanotechnology relies on effective measurements of surface properties during and after production by means of highly sophisticated instruments. So now suppose when we are using the nano materials which are to be used along with some other materials and to get the desired performance from that material, in that case we need to see that the nanotechnology, whether the material which you are using, nanomaterial, whether it is of a specified size, whether it is of specified volume, whether it is having specific characteristics, and because these nanomaterials of various kinds, they are of very small size, miniature size, you need to measure these properties very precisely, such as its topographic features, its shape, its edge sharpness, detection of defects and structural characterization. So these are to be done at the micro level, that is at the atomic level or the molecular level. So these things when you are doing, we are supposed to go for the nano instrumentation. So these features of nanomaterials, shapes, edge sharpness, detection of defects. So detection of defects, this comes into existence because when you are manufacturing the nanomaterials, some of the components might be defected which are supposed to be used in the final model. If the nanomaterials are defective, you will not get the required performance from the nanomaterials. So you have to remove the defective material out of the manufactured material. It is something like rejected lot of the job or the rejected lot of the material which has been coming out of the mechanical industry. So these are nothing but the defects or defective nanomaterials. So these are to be removed. Structural characterization, this gives rise to the characterization with respect to the structure of the nanomaterial. So size, volume, then its properties, the stress and strain along with the nanomaterials, if you apply, what happens to the size and everything. So this is going for the structural characterization. So these all measurements are required when you are dealing with the nanotechnology. So these measurements, these gives rise to instrumentation for nanomaterials. So nano instruments are used to measure these parameters. So this classification of nano instruments, they can be stylus type, optical type and scanning electron beam type. So these are the three different categories in which you can divide the nano instruments. So the first category of nano stylus instruments is available here, you can see. Now this is workpiece. What is meant by workpiece? Workpiece is nothing but the material or the nanomaterial which is to be tested. So the workpiece is a particular trolley, a small trolley, a micro trolley, on which the nanomaterial has been deposited. So here you can see this is that particular workpiece. So in practice, if you see, when any nanomaterial is manufactured in any laboratory or in any industry, we have to give it for characterization as well as for testing. So for testing this nanomaterial, we need to deposit the nanomaterial on a particular surface while giving it for testing, and that particular surface itself forms the traverse unit. So this workpiece, and here this particular mechanism wherein this workpiece can travel in this direction or in the forward direction. So here there is a trolley type of mechanism, small mechanism, wherein this can move either to right side or to the left side. Now here you can see there is a transducer here which is measuring the thickness of the material. Now in this particular nanomaterial, what is the mechanism or what is the parameter to be measured? This is the height of each of these elements. So here, because when you are depositing the nanomaterial on a particular surface, these are different nanomaterial, different atoms or the nanomaterial pieces which are attached to the surface. So these are actually magnified in nature, much magnified. This particular size will be in terms of nanometers, 1 nanometer or few micrometers to 1 nanometer. Till then, you can see these heights of this material can be measured. How it is measured? Now there is a sensor here which senses the movement of this particular traverse unit. Now when this particular traverse unit travels in the direction on the right side, what happens is this sensor will undergo some changes due to the layer of the surface. So when the surface is changing all the time, here you can see up and down of the protrudings, you can see that this sensor will get activated and the transducer will get signal from this sensor. So actually there is a noise here, noise signal given here, here and here, and this noise signal, when it is given to this sensor, it will get variation in the noise signal which is available here due to this surface of the nanomaterial or traverse unit, and then correspondingly this transducer will give some output which is recorded. So actually damping system and the control system or control spring is always there along with this unit. This is a damper which is air damper, air damping system. You can see this. This is the air damping system symbol which is shown here. So when you apply some noise here, this transducer will get the input and this will transfer the signal, and this particular source here, whatever noise source is there, you will get some attenuation of the noise signal, and that attenuation is actually measured in terms of the displacement here, and that will measure the size of the nanomaterials. Now the same thing has been shown in the second diagrams. So this is the sensor and transducer system. Here you can see this is the sensor, and what happens is here there is a traverse unit along with the workpiece. This is traverse unit. This is nothing but a trolley, a small trolley on which the nanomaterial is kept, and when this moves in the forward direction, this particular stylus will go up and down on the surface, and as a result it will form up and down movement of this particular stylus. This will be controlled by the control spring here, control action, and damping action will be taken by the air damping system. So actually this particular stylus M, this will move up and down based on the surface protrudings, and this will be sensed by this sensor, and it is given to the sensing input circuit. So the same thing has been shown here with A, B and C parts. The C part is here, which is this part, B is here, and A is here. So this ABC is shown here, A, B and C. So in this case, this is the stylus M. This will get up and down based on the surface, nature of the surface of the nanomaterial, and this will give the output, sensor output, and this will be given to this part A. So this is part A and part B. So this Y is the output what you get, and that is given to some signal conditioning circuit. So actually this particular protrudings can be measured, or in other words, size of the nanomaterials can be measured, and you can say whether it is really a nanomaterial or not. Because what happens is, when the nanomaterial is manufactured in the laboratory or in the industry does not know, or the laboratory does not know, whether the material which is deposited here is really of nano nature, that is of the size of nanometer. If it is not of the size of nanometer, then this cannot be a nanomaterial. So in the first sense, you must see whether the size of the nanomaterial is up to the level of the acceptable requirement, and as a result, if the size itself is nanometer in size, then you can say that that is a nanomaterial. So actually this is done in standard nanomaterial laboratories, and there are very few such laboratories available in the world. In India, there are some 5 to 6 places wherein such instrumentation system is available, and the testing of nanomaterials is being done. And here you can see what exactly this Y is doing. Y is measuring is the size of this particular nanomaterial, here or here, whatever. So depending upon the vertical movement of this M stylus, the size of the material can be measured. So this is known as nano stylus instrument. Then second one is optical instrument. In this optical instruments, using light or laser beams are known to counter the effects of mechanical type instruments, and at the same time offer higher resolutions. So M stylus instruments, these are mechanical instruments, and if you have light or optical instruments, they will be definitely having higher resolutions and good accuracy also. They offer the considerable advantage of being non-contacting type, and hence superior to stylus type. Stylus type instruments are contact type instruments, because the sensor, whatever you see here, this will be in touch with this surface, and as a result you may get some wear and tear of this particular sensor notch. Similarly, in this case, if you have a non-contact type of instrument, that non-contact type of instrument can give you better results and better reliability. The optical types have some differences in their basic methods of beam generation and application. The methods are based on either focused systems or diffraction, interference and gloss techniques. Detailed descriptions are not attempted here. One parameter usually quoted in these types is the numerical aperture. Better profiling of surfaces is possible with highly focused systems yielding large numerical aperture, but lower numerical aperture systems are faster and less accurate. This is one thing related with the numerical aperture. If the numerical aperture is lower, the system is faster and less accurate. Another important factor in nano instrumentation is the ratio of range to resolution, and this factor is limited in the case of optical instruments. The range is very limited here in the optical instruments because this is quite obvious. In case of mechanical type of systems, the range is much better. You can have a big range, but here the range is quite small. The resolution is better. A laser scanning system providing constant numerical aperture is shown in the diagram. An optical instrument based on interference method is shown in the next diagram. To indicate the complexity of the system and versatility offered for use along with computers as part of sophisticated position control scheme. So these all things are related with the sophisticated instruments, and the cost of such instrumentation systems will run in crores together. So what I know is, in the nearby vicinity of our college, we have one such testing center at Kolhapur, in Shivaji University Kolhapur, wherein all these measurements of or related measurements for nanomaterials are taken up, and there is one separate nano laboratory also attached to the testing facility. Similarly, there is one testing facility in Trivandrum in Kerala, wherein they also offer the testing facilities of nanomaterials of different nature and characterization. So here laser scanning showing constant numerical aperture system. So constant numerical aperture system, you can see this is the surface to be measured. You can see here, this is the nanomaterial which is deposited on the surface, and you are supposed to measure size of each nanomaterial here, or the surface height from here, average surface and the height of the nanomaterial. So we have a laser beam which is focused on this. You can see this is the aperture laser beam, wide aperture laser beam. This is a mirror, oscillating mirror. When you have this position of mirror, we have this rays which are evident. When you have this position of mirror, you have rays which are evident from here, like this. So in position 1, if you consider these light rays, when they are available here, this point, and this is connected to this point. So between this and this points, these two rays are there. This is a spheric lens which will focus the beam along this particular angle at the lower side. So this particular angle we call it as aperture, which is a constant numerical aperture. Similarly, suppose if you tilt the mirror along this particular point or axis, this axis is vertical to the plane of the board or plane of the screen, and when you have second position, light beam is having the same position here, and it will get tilted like this with the same angle, and this will also get with numerical aperture, which is a constant numerical aperture. So this angle and this angle, they are same, and the surface which you are measuring is between this point and this point. So the scan length, we call it as a scan length, because the 2 points on the surface of this particular nanomaterial which are scanned, these 2 points, the surface between these 2 points, we call it as scan length. So this scan length is to be seen and is to be measured. So now you can see that the scan length is quite small. So this is nothing but range of the instrument. So this range is quite small, and as a result you have the smaller scan length, whereas for stylus, M stylus instrument, you have better or more scan length. So this is an oscillating mirror wherein you are focusing first in this place, then focusing here or here and here, and intermediate positions we are going to see the images of these material, this particular part. So first you have to scan this much length, then the next length, then the next length, and so on. To get the complete profile of the surface, complete surface, you should divide this part into number of scanning parts, and then one scanning part every time you have to scan and give the particular measurements. So this is known as constant numerical aperture system. So this is known as numerical aperture angle. This angle is remaining same. Then interference methods. We are creating interference, and that interference will give you the size of the nanomaterial. Now here you can see this is the test surface which is to be measured. So the depth here, then heel position here, the top position, this length you have to measure, height you have to measure. All these measurements you can do by using this particular nano instrumentation. So here you can see light source is available here. This is going through this field stop. It is focused here. There is a lens here. Then there is an aperture stop, and from here it gets into the system. This is the mirror or the opaque surface, and this will get reflected from this. Suppose this is a mirror only, this is reflected here, this beam comes here and this beam comes here, it goes through this, and there is microscope objective, mirror microscope objective, PJT transducer microprocessor controlled, this one. Reference surface is here, and beam splitter plate. So actually interferometer is there. What happens is, when these beams are evident on the surface, they will get reflected from the surface, and this beam splitter plate, what it will do, it will check or it will monitor the beam split, because this particular surface will decide how much beam is split here. Then the split beam is again coming out here and going to the eyepiece. So you can see the size of this particular nanomaterial by your naked eye from here, this side, and at the same time this can be given to the computer input image sensor. There is one image sensor here. So whatever output beams you get here, reflected beams, these reflected beams are collected via the eyepiece and again via the computer. This computer will measure the surfaces or surface length, or as well as the heights and depths in this particular surface using the image sensor, and it can take a photograph of this particular surface by using this reflected beams. So this can measure the heights and depths here, on same lines, similar lines, this can measure or it can record the photographic image of the surface of this particular nano test surface. So these things can be monitored by using a computer. So if you see carefully the test results obtained from the standard laboratories for any nanomaterial, you can see that the images are also given there. They will have very very much magnified images, and you can see the heights and depths on the surface of the nanomaterial. So this part is done in the nanomaterial instrumentation system. So these are the three different ways in which the measurements can be done. This is the second method, sorry. Third method is here, scanning electron beam type instrument. So here again, electron beam type of instrument is available here. The scanning electron microscope is totally an electronic instrument in which an electronic beam is focused onto the surface of this specimen instead of an optical beam. So this is electron beam instead of optical beam. The sharp beam is incident on the test surface at a point where from the secondary emission takes place. Now here you can see the specimen is here, and this specimen is projected with some electron beam. So this electron beam will be produced by this particular electron gun. This produces the electron beam. This will be supplied by some gun supply, power supply for the gun, and then this particular specimen will reflect the light or reflect the electron beam, and that will be recorded here. This is a detector. This will go to the amplifier and then to the next instrumentation system. Now this reflected electron beam will be received by these scanning coils, 1, 2, 3, 4. Here you can see these are the scanning coils, and these scanning coils will detect the change in the nature of the electron beam, and this will give an input to the next stage. So here you can see condenser lens 1 and 2, here you can see, and the lens supply is given here for this condenser lens, similarly this object lens and this objective lens. We have one common lens supply. This common lens supply is providing power to this lens, and as per the stigmator, these are again all instrumentation system components, and this reflected beam, what exactly it does is it will activate the scanning coils and it will give rise to some measurement that will be magnified here, magnification unit, and then it will measure the required parameter. So accordingly the surface of the specimen, heights and depths, they can be measured by carefully studying the reflected beams of electron beams. So this whatever electron beams are there. So in the earlier part, what we did here is we produced the light beam. These are the light beams within this particular area, but here we are producing electron beam. That is the only difference. There will be a reflected beam in turn, which can be studied and which can give rise to exact measurements of the surface of the specimen in terms of height, depth, volume or whatever. So that can be recorded and it can be used for the next stage of instrumentation. The emitted electrons strike the collector and the resulting current is amplified and used to modulate the brightness of the cathode ray tube screen spot. The brightness corresponds to the number of secondary electrons collected from a point on the surface. Scanning coils placed before the final lens cause the electron spot to be scanned across the specimen surface in the form of a square raster, similar to that of a television screen. The current passing through the scanning coils is made to pass through the deflecting coils of the CRT so as to produce a larger raster on the viewing screen in a synchronous fashion. Thus, an image of the surface is progressively built up on the screen. The image magnification is solely dependent on ratio of the sizes of the rasters on the CRT screen and on the specimen surface. Reduction of the currents in the scanning coils increases the magnification. The instrument yields high resolution in the lateral direction but not sufficiently in the vertical direction. This drawback is overcome in the subsequent versions of microscope. However, the instrument is favored for visualization of topographic features of surfaces. Edges and slopes look brighter than reality. That means if you want to observe these things very carefully, topographic features, surfaces, edges and slopes along the surface of the nanomaterial, then this technique is useful. That is what is shown here. In short, these are all the control mechanisms and the measuring mechanisms used along with the electron beam. So this is the third method used for measurement of the nanomaterial characteristics or nano instrumentation. Then biomedical instrumentation. So as you know, in the medical field we use lot of biomedical instrumentation, starting from say the X-rays, which are used for detecting the fractures in the bone, used for detecting any say divergence from the natural shapes of the bones. X-rays are also used for sensing different tumors in the body and so on. Similarly, another example of biomedical instrumentation is using ultrasonic measurements. So for the various diagnosis purpose, inside the human body, whatever elements or whatever organs are there, these organs, whether they are functioning properly or not. So this particular functioning can be checked by taking ultrasonic picture of these particular organs. So there is a provision for measurement of these size of the organs in different directions and measurement of volume as well as mass, everything by using ultrasonic therapy. So you might have seen this or you might be knowing about this. So these instrumentation, these are known as biomedical instrumentation. Similarly, there is a cathode ray tube which is used for measuring the heartbeat. Similarly, there are certain other instruments which record the blood sugar. There are certain instruments which record or measure the blood pressure, and so on and so forth. So even the electron beams which are used for the CT scans, these are also using the ultrasonic features. So all these things, they are part of the biomedical instrumentation. So ECG, so this is nothing but electrocardiogram. So these are also used for measurement of the parameters related with the heart and so on. So chemical properties of the blood, they can be measured by using chemical sensors. So various chemical parameters such as pH value, then content in the hemoglobin content, oxygen content, carbon dioxide content and so on. All these different parameters can be measured by using certain biomedical instrumentation. So these are known as physical variables. So if you see, this is a table which gives you the list of various physical variables which can be measured and what are the sensors and instruments used for measuring these particular variables. First one is the temperature. So the range of the temperature for human body is 35 degrees to 38 degrees. This can be measured by using a sensor which is thermocouple, thermistor or infrared techniques. Similarly, instrument used is thermometers and thermograph. These are the two different meters which are measuring the temperature. Heat sound, heart sounds pulse rate. This is measured in terms of frequency hertz. Capacitive transducers are used and microphone is the instrument. So whatever stethoscope is there in the hands of a doctor, that is the capacitive type of transducer which is used for measuring the heartbeat or listening to the heartbeat. Then blood pressure, arterial and venous. Arterial blood pressure is nothing but the blood pressure in the blood vessels which are pure blood, carrying pure blood, and veins, blood pressure in the veins is nothing but blood pressure in the blood capillaries or blood vessels which is less in terms of oxygen. So here you can see capacitive transducers are used, and for this blood pressure sphygmomanometer is used for measurement. This also you might have seen in actual practice. There are other instrumentation techniques available for measurement of blood pressure. In place of sphygmomanometer, we use digital blood pressure measuring device. So here you can see arterial blood pressure and venous blood pressure. These are different. Here you can see 0 to 30 Hertz. Venous blood pressure is 0 to 30 Hertz, 0 to 15 mm of mercury, and here it is 30 to 400 millimeter of mercury. So this pressure is much more compared with the venous blood pressure. Blood flow rate. Why this blood pressure is more than this? Because first the blood will be pumped by the heart into the arteries, and after it flows through all the body, it comes back through the veins, and that is why here the blood pressure is quite small. Here it is big. Blood flow rate. So this is ml per second. .5 to 1650 ml per second, 0 to 50 Hertz, ultrasonic, electromagnetic or Doppler sensor. So these are the sensors used. Then flow meters are used for measurement of blood flow rate. Flow volume, use of dyes. So you can see that flow volume can be detected by using different types of dyes. So dyes means they are colors. These colors are mixed with the blood, and these colors, when they appear in the blood stream, we can measure the blood flow rate. Then flow volume, use of dyes. Okay. Biosignal, that is heart. So microelectrodes you can use, ECG. Then brain mappings, you can see surface electrodes, EEG. These are the levels of the voltages which are available. Biosignal, heart 0.1 to 4 millivolt peak to peak, 10 to 100 microvolt. So this is, here you can see this is quite small range which is being used. Muscle 50 to 1000 microvolts surface electrodes, then nerves, surface electrodes, again skin resistance unit, mechanical 0.1 to 5 micrometer LVDT, ballistocardio, this is one unit used for measurement of mechanical movements, breathing rate 250 to 300 ml per second, tachometer, hot wire, this can be used. So breathalyzer is used for measurement of this breathing rate. Composition of breath. So this composition of breath is nothing but whatever exhaust you leave out from the lungs, that exhaust is measured by using certain sensors. So hot wire for CO2 gas chromatography, then ear, microphone and audiograph. So how the ear is functioning, whether it is functioning properly or not, whether it is taking proper signals or not, this is all done by using audiograph. So these are different instruments which are used for measuring the mechanical or physical parameters related to the human body.